Wrigleyville busy as always on game day. Cool, clear, and breezy on this Saturday afternoon as we present Chicago Cubs baseball on WGN Sports. Game 2 of the Cubs' final home series of 2010. With the Cardinals winning Game 1 yesterday, we welcome Cub fans from all over the country watching on WGN America, America's home for baseball. Hi again, everyone. Along with Bob Brenly, I'm Len Casper. Only 9 to go, including today. And the Cubs need to get their offense going, Bob. Just 3 runs in the first 4 games of this homestand. Well,
certainly a lot of that can be attributed to the opposing pitching that the Cubs have seen recently. But leading up to this little hiccup for the offense, they had been swinging the bats really good. They need to remember what they were doing when things were going well.
Won't be easy against Chris Carpenter today, although the Cubs have beaten him his last 2 times against Chicago. Casey Coleman seems to be getting a little bit better every time out.
Boy, just watching Casey Coleman's body language over his last couple of starts, he feels like he belongs here now. He's throwing the ball much better. Carpenter, on the other hand, is on the skids.
All right, the Cardinals' elimination number is 3 in the National League Central. So coming up from beautiful Wrigley Field, you have Chris Carpenter for the Cardinals. You have Casey Coleman for the Cubs. Who's going to win? We'll see next. Refreshes the world. Submit your idea at refresheverything.com. And by Illinois Lottery's newest game, Powerball. Wednesday and Saturday jackpots start at $20 million. AT&T Uverse TV launched the Chicago Cubs multi-view app in partnership with WGN Sports. Now for the final home games here on WGN. AT&T Uverse viewers can call their own shots. The multi-view app allows the viewer to choose from 7 different camera angles and watch 4 at the same time. Multi-view is on channel 780 and available to all Uverse TV customers in the Chicago area. The brains of our operation. Casey Coleman getting ready to work against this Cardinals starting lineup. Skip Schumacher will lead off at second base. John Jay is in right. Albert Pujols at first. Matt Holliday is streaking a 16-gamer coming in. Kobe Rasmussen center. Daniel Descalzo is at third base, a rookie. Brendan Ryan at short. Brian Anderson, the catcher, with Molina out, and Chris Carpenter, the pitcher, hits 9.
And let's check out how the Cubs take the field defensively today behind Casey Coleman, brought to you by Pepsi. Every Pepsi refreshes the world. The Alfonso Soriano in left, Kosuke Fukudome in right. They figure to get most of the playing time down the stretch. Sam Fuld, however, getting a start in center field for Marlon Byrd today. Ramirez and Castro on the left side of the infield. DeWitt and Hoffpower on the right side. Coy Hill will be doing the catching today for right-hander Casey Coleman. As Len mentioned in the open, Casey Coleman has been throwing the ball extremely well lately. Just judging by the way he goes about his business, you get the feeling he's getting more and more confident with each successive start. Hopefully a good one for the youngster today.
In his 33rd year, crew chief Joe West working home plate today and calling that pitch strike one. We're underway. Dan Molino, Angel Hernandez, and Rob Drake will cover the bases. It's 1-1 on Skip Schumacher. The Cardinals winning yesterday. The Reds lost late last night in San Diego, so Cincinnati's magic number remains at 3. This is Starlin Castro, and that's the first out. Good idea to bring a jacket today.
Or two. I would imagine the people sitting in the sun are very comfortable right about now, but the people sitting in the shade are preparing for bear season. They've got blankets, parkas, stocking caps, and earmuffs. One of those days.
We've seen 3 of the 4 seasons on this homestand. The only thing we've avoided is snow. Hopefully we won't see snow before the season ends. 2-0 on left-handed hitting John Jay, who's playing right. Caught the outside corner on a tailing fastball at 88. Cubs have lost 2 in a row, but still 18-10 under their new manager, Mike Quade. Time now for our Chrysler game forecast. And it is brought to you by Chrysler. For more info on our vehicle lineup, log on to Chrysler.com or stop by your Chicagoland or Northwest Indiana Chrysler dealer today. Wind blowing in. Temperatures in the mid-50s. Comfortable in the sun, but pretty cool in the shade. Another foul by Jay.
One thing to keep an eye on for Casey Coleman today, and we saw it in his last outing against the Florida Marlins. A 5-3 victory for the Cubs in that game, is keeping the ball down. He's got real good movement on that sinker, especially when he keeps it down in the strike zone. When he gets it up, it tends to flatten out a little bit, and in his last start against the Marlins, he did a real nice job of throwing strikes at the bottom of the zone, and when he missed further down.
3-2 has popped up. Yesterday, the wind would be pushing this ball toward the outfield, but it's the opposite effect today. Castro with the catch. Cardinals have been here a lot, so most of their certainly veteran position players understand the changing conditions here. But, you know, this series should present, in general, a home field advantage, because the Cubs players are very used to the wind conditions changing on a day-to-day basis.
Sometimes an inning-to-inning basis. Very important to always keep an eye on those flags, especially for a pitcher. You want to pitch to the conditions of the ballpark, and if the wind is howling straight in, you find yourself in a 2-0, 3-1 count. Throw the ball up and out over the plate and let them hit it up in the air. Let that wind knock it down.
We'll see how this at bat goes. Already 2-0, but yesterday Tom Gorzolani got the first 2 guys, and then he walked Pujols, who takes ball 3. Holiday singled, and then Alan Craig hit a 3-run homer, and that was pretty much it. Gorzolani would be charged with 7 runs in his first outing in over 3 weeks since suffering the broken finger. It's a 4th walk taken by Pujols in this series. First time Coleman has ever faced him. Now the scorching red-hot Matt Holliday. team-leading 16-game hitting streak, during which he has batted .431. Got his league-leading 45th double yesterday. Check that, a single in the first inning. Doubled a couple of days ago in Pittsburgh. Takes it low, ball one. Coleman has missed now in 5 in a row.
You know, and the walk to Pujols, I don't care how he's swinging the bat going into a series. He is always the guy on this Cardinals team that you circle his name in the lineup and don't let this guy beat you. I mean, even if he's 0 for his last 20, he's one swing away from a hot streak, and you don't want it to start while you're playing against him.
Hit very hard, but right at Castro, just knocks it down, and plenty of time to get it to Blake DeWitt. So a busy first inning for Starlin Castro. We'll see him bat second when we come back. Sam Fuld gets the nod in center, and the battery is Hill and Coleman.
Quick look at the Carpenters defensive, or rather the Cardinals defensively today behind Chris Carpenter. It'll be Holiday, Rasmussen, Jay across the outfield. Descalso at third, Ryan at short, Schumacher at second, Albert Pujols over at first. Rookie catcher Brian Anderson behind the plate today with Yadier Molina on the shelf for the remainder of the year, and Chris Carpenter, the right-hander, will be on the mound.
You listening to the Carpenters on your way in?
I always do.
Yeah. Ground ball to Albert Pujols. 2 pitches, 1 out.
Rainy days and Mondays always get me down. No rain today, and Monday's still a couple days away, so we're in good shape.
Major League leading 34th start for Carpenter, who has battled a lot of arm trouble in his career, but he's been healthy this season. Last 2 times he has faced the Cubs, both in St. Louis, the Cubs beat him. One and nothing on Starlin Castro. Finished strong here in his rookie season. 306 for his average. That ranks 8th in the league. The wind blowing in today, but quite honestly, the wind direction hasn't much mattered on this homestand in terms of the Cubs' offensive output. It has been few and far between. 4 games, only 3 runs. And 2 of those runs on solo home runs. Fukudome the other day against the Giants, and Aramis Ramirez last night or yesterday afternoon. 3-1 on Castro. There's Kosuke on deck. Marlon Byrd not in the lineup after fouling a ball off the plate and then back up into his face. A 1-out walk to Castro. Pretty puffy under Marlon's right eye. A contusion, a little bit of a cut. No sutures were needed, but fortunately it actually caught his sunglasses, which may have deadened the impact just a little bit. He would finish the at-bat, but eventually come out of the game. 1-0 to Kosuke. Did you ever foul a ball off your face?
Despite evidence to the contrary, no.
Remember Michael Barrett, after he left the Cubs, fouled one off his face, but a direct blow hit the bat, then his face.
The one we saw off the bat of Marlon Byrd yesterday actually happens a lot more than you might realize when the hitter gets fooled a little bit by an off-speed pitch away from him, reaches out trying to protect the plate, and just gets the top part of the baseball, goes straight down off that trampoline-like home plate, and it's right back up into the upper body or face.
1-1 pitch, a fly ball to center. Rasmus went back, now coming way in. There's that wind effect. 2 down. Yeah, the Barrett incident was with San Diego a couple years ago. He suffered multiple broken bones in his face. Fractured nose, orbital, forehead bone. Ended up with a titanium plate in his face. That's no fun.
Especially at the airport.
Right. Well, each team with a pretty significant part missing, Bob, for the remaining week plus. The catchers. Giovanni Soto had shoulder surgery on Monday. Yadier Molina has a sore right knee, so he has been shut down. So we're seeing a lot of Coy Hill, and Cardinals going with Matt Pagnazzi, and today Brian Anderson. I see a few more visits to the mound on the Cardinals side, as Molina was an Iron Man this year for St. Louis.
Boy, and I cannot overstate how important that is for a pitching staff to have a guy behind the plate on a daily basis. You get to know each pitcher's strengths and weaknesses and quickly identify what he has working on a given day. I mean, the rhythm for a pitcher, especially a starting pitcher, is such an important thing. And if he has to stand out there on the mound and shake off to get to the sign he wants to throw, well, obviously that's going to put a pitcher out of his rhythm and increase the chances that he might make a mistake.
You should also note Jason LaRue's season came to an end a while ago because of the concussion he suffered when he got kicked in the face by the Reds' Johnny Cueto in that pretty ugly brawl. Pretty awful way for a guy's career to come to an end. Rue recently announced his retirement. That's a strike, 2-2.
Carpenter with that comeback sinker just off the outside corner, tails it back onto the corner for a called strike. You'll see a 4-seam fastball, a 2-seam fastball, a curve, a slider, and an occasional straight changeup.
Tomahawked into left center, but it's Rasmus coming in to record the 3rd out. Quiet first for both teams. 0-0.
Giving Lester a little love.
Yeah, that's bullpen coach Colby Rasmus. Sends a solid single into left. It's the first hit. And let's meet today's Walgreens celebrity bat kids. Bridget McCander from Bourbonnais, Illinois, and Alec Wendland from Shawano, Wisconsin, not too far from Justin Berg's hometown of Anago. For more info on how you can be a Walgreens celebrity bat kid, go to WGNradio.com. Walgreens, the pharmacy of the Chicago Cubs. Dan Descalzo, 5 hits, 4 of them came at Pittsburgh on Thursday. He's a second baseman by trade, but playing third base. Third base is kind of like first base is for the Cubs, Bob. The Cardinals are going to need a third baseman next year, and the Cubs will too. At first, not third. And using Xavier Nady and Micah Hoffpower over there. Derek Lee traded to Atlanta a few weeks ago. The thing about those corner infielders, you really need offense. The defense may be slightly more important at third than first, but the bottom line is most teams' corner infielders supply good offense. And the Cubs are hoping for a comeback year from Aramis Ramirez.
You're absolutely right, Len. There's ways to get around it. All you have to do is think back to the Cubs teams when Ryan Sandberg was playing second base and hitting tons of home runs, and Mark Grace at first base did not. Now, Gracie hit for a high average every year, but you need that power from your corner outfield and corner infield spots unless you're getting it from another position.
Two and one on Descalzo. Rasmus takes off. Looked like he thought it was a hit and run. He's going to be out by a mile. He took a long look at home plate as he was on the move. Somebody apparently missed a sign. Works out well for the Cubs as Coy Hill nails him at second.
Just judging by the reaction of Rasmus, I'd have to say that the hitter missed the hit and run sign that time. Rasmus was looking back the whole way. I'd say that look says it all. Somebody missed the sign.
That's a live shot. That's not a freeze frame of Tony.
Well, that's so frustrating for a manager and a coaching staff. You have an idea of what you want to do in a ball game, as that one will get through into right field for a base hit. And missing signs is one thing that happens to every ball club every season, but it's something that should never happen. Sometimes it's a lack of concentration on the part of either the hitter or the runner. You don't watch the third base coach go through all the signs. You look away and you miss the indicator or whatever the sign may happen to be. Sometimes you just don't know the signs and you're hoping to get through a 9-inning ball game without anything being put on. There's no excuse.
Inside corner and a strike to Brendan Ryan. Two hits yesterday, including a double and a run. Q shot is foul. We are email accessible at LenandBob@Tribune.com. You can also tweet us, Twitter.com/LenandBob. Punched into right. 3 consecutive hits as Descalzo will make third.
It wasn't pretty, but it'll work for Brendan Ryan. A little jam shot floater out into no man's land in shallow right field. By the time Kosuke can come in from his position to pick the ball up, Descalso is well on his way to third base. Quincy Coleman looking for that ground ball right now off the bat of Brian Anderson. Try to get a double play, get out of this inning.
Left-handed hitting catcher. Brought up on August 18th for the second time this season. He sends a fly ball to deep left. Alfonso Soriano backpedaling. And Descalso will score. So if in fact he did miss that hit and run sign, he's able to make up for it with the single and the run, and it's 1-0 St. Louis. Sac fly for Anderson.
That sinker caught a little bit too much plate. Anderson able to loft it high in the air to left field. That ball carried a lot further than it looked like it was going to off the bat. Soriano eventually backpedaled nearly to the warning track, could only throw back into second base to hold the runner at first.
There's Chris Carpenter. He has a home run this year. He's hit 2 in his career. Carpenter's last start against the Cubs was 2 starts ago for him, a 7-3 loss. Gave up 5 runs before leaving in the 7th with what was later described as right hamstring cramping caused by dehydration. Remember, it was a hot night in St. Louis.
And there was that play when he backed up third base and kind of awkwardly got turned around.
Will flip, and they'll get the out at second. So the Cardinals get 3 hits and score 1 run to take the early lead.
The first 10,000 fans through the gates will receive a special Cubs popcorn cup, courtesy of Colonel Fabian's Gourmet Popcorn Shops. Exclusive Cubs tins are also available for $15 at ColonelFabians.com.
Underway in the Cubs' second. Micah Hoffpower, followed by Alfonso Soriano and Sam Fuld. 1 ball, 1 strike. Pulled to Pujols to go up and get it. Looked like he had crouched down on that one bouncer, and the ball took a big kick when he was able to get it and get the out.
That's textbook infield defense. You're always taught to go low to high. Start with your glove low and your body low. You can always make an easier adjustment if the ball takes a bad hop and skips up, as that one did. Much tougher to start with your glove up and go down toward the ground if the ball stays down.
Side to Soriano. First action in the series for Alfonso.
Good career numbers against Chris Carpenter for Alfonso Soriano. A .317 batting average as he jerks that one foul right over the Cubs dugout. A couple of home runs to go along with the .317 batting average.
Well, guy was so pumped up about getting the ball, he tried to sit down, missed the seat. Up the middle, and no play as Schumacher will just keep it. And that's a base hit for Soriano, the Cubs' first hit.
That other middle infielder on a play like this, sometimes you find yourself in the line of fire. Soriano was getting ready to round the bag at first, had to go straight through as Schumacher actually got to that ball. Watch Brendan Ryan. He finds himself in the line of fire, so he goes down to his back, but Schumacher did not make the throw.
Fuld playing center today, his second consecutive start. 0 for 4 in the opener. Played left and center yesterday. Outside, ball one. Nice crowd today as the Cubs go over 3 million in attendance. Second to final home game of the season, starting the day at 2.985 million. This will be the 7th consecutive season Cubs will be over 3 million, going back to 2004. John Jay for out number 2. Cubs are the only Chicago pro sports team to ever reach 3 million in attendance. Time now to check out today's improvement from Menards. He's been better against the Cubs here at Wrigley Field than in his home ballpark. For all your home improvement needs, shop and save big money at Menards. Oh, and 1 to Coy Hill. Among all active pitchers with at least 140 innings, Chris Carpenter has the best ERA against the Cubs at 3.06. He has always fared well here. Saw some comments, Bob, from Adam Wainwright after his career best 20th win yesterday. Said it meant a lot more to come against the Cubs here at Wrigley Field. Guys love performing here, whether it's the home team or the visitors.
If you do a poll of opposing players around the National League, Wrigley Field will consistently be among the favorite ballparks to play in as a road player. Chicago, the favorite city to visit as a road player. There's just nothing not to like about coming here.
Just missed the inside corner. It's 3-1.
A lot of two-seam fastballs in the early going from Chris Carpenter. In the past, when the Cubs have faced Carpenter, he'll start the game using a two-seamer and maybe a slider. Second time through the order, he'll start to incorporate more slow-breaking pitches.
Hit very well by Coy Hill. That's very deep, right center, and it's going to be caught by John Jay on the warning track. Hill just missed one. They leave one. It's 1-0 St. Louis after 2.
That's Big Star with Summer Girls, G-U-R-L-Z if you're wondering. Budweiser, it's what we do.
1-0 St. Louis. Cardinals batting here in the third inning, top of the order, and a strike to Schumacher, who's 0 for 1. Fouled that one back to the net. Schumacher won't hit 300 this year, but came into the season and hit 300 in 3 consecutive years. Called strike 3, got him. First one for Coleman.
Because of his stuff and the fact that he attacks the bottom part of that strike zone, I think Casey Coleman is going to be the kind of pitcher that doesn't rack out big strikeout totals in a game. Ideally, he will be the kind of pitcher that develops into a strikeout pitcher when he needs one, but I don't think he's going to be the kind of guy that consistently gets into double digits with strikeouts.
John Jay with an opposite field single. 4 hits for the Cardinals, all singles. Brings up Pujols for the second time. He walked on 4 straight in the first. Well, partner, we've been keeping an eye on the playoff races, and we will continue to do that over the final week plus. But I also want to keep an eye on Japanese baseball, because former Cub Matt Merton recently became the 4th player to have a 200-hit season, and he actually has a shot at the all-time record. Ichiro, before he came over to the Mariners, had a season of 210 hits. Merton is on pace for a 216-hit season. He's hitting .352. He has 17 home runs for the Hanshin Tigers.
Go get him, Red. Good boy.
Hit very hard, and that one passed Ramirez in the blink of an eye. Jay is going to be sent by Jose Oquendo. Castro will make the relay throw, but it's late. And that's an RBI double for Albert Pujols. He has 113 knocked in this year. And it's 2-0. Boy, that ball was hit really hard.
Really hard. Thank goodness he didn't get any elevation. That ball might still be flying. That ball shot past Ramirez before he even had a chance to react to it. Quickly got down into the left field corner. Just too much speed from John Jay, able to motor all the way around from first base and score.
Now Matt Holliday. Down ball to Aramis, who looks at close, and bad throw, and that goes into the stands as Hoffpower couldn't handle it. Pujols will be allowed to score to make it 3-0. So that's an error on Aramis. And that snaps an errorless streak by the Cubs. They had not committed one over their last 5 in a row. That's number 122 on the season.
Just a sinker across the diamond that time. A long hop for Micah Hoffpower. He tried to backhand it, but could not come up with it clean.
That was not an easy play. And this is not about Michael Hoffpower, Bob, but we got really spoiled with Derek Lee over there at first and took away a lot of errors from guys on the other side of the infield. I think Aramis would certainly tell you that. Well, you hate to assume that that first baseman is always going to dig it out. 1-2 on Rasmus.
You don't realize how important the position is at first base until you have a guy that can't pick the ball over there. Once again, no slight to Micah Hoffpower. That was an extremely tough play. But when you have a first baseman over there that can pick balls in the dirt without even blinking, you're going to save a lot of errors, save a lot of bases over the course of the season, save a lot of pitches for your pitching staff. And when the opposite is true, when you have a guy at first that can't handle his position well, it's going to really put a strain on your pitching staff and the left side and second baseman of your defense.
And Derek is a multi-gold glover. That one cranked out into deep center. Sam Full got a really good jump on it. Makes what appeared to be a routine catch, but was not. As Holiday able to tag and head to third. 2 down in the inning.
Holiday was late getting back to second base to tag, and Sam Fuld got rid of the ball so quickly it looked like Blake DeWitt may have had a play on Holiday at third base. Sammy doesn't even take a crow hop or anything, just catches and fires, and DeWitt took the relay throw and looked at Holiday but elected not to make the throw to third base. I do believe they would have had a play on him.
Descalzo slices it foul back to the seats. I was just going to say, of all the things Derek Lee does well defensively and did well here with the Cubs, I think that was his #1 attribute. When he did not dig one out of the dirt, you were shocked, regardless of the difficulty. Pop up behind third, and Castro will take it in foul territory. They get a couple more and now lead 3-0 in the third. Chris Carpenter given an early 3-0 lead. One of those runs was unearned because of the error, as Casey Coleman hustling hard but thrown out by a half a step by Schumacher. Hey, Cub fans, Wednesday, September 29th is National Sierra Mist Natural Sampling Day. New Sierra Mist Natural is made with real sugar, 100% natural flavors, and nothing artificial. Look for free samples of Sierra Mist Natural all over Chicagoland on Wednesday. Blake DeWitt at leadoff spot. Takes a fastball up for ball one. I think the scouting report lately has been to try to get Blake DeWitt to swing at that high pitch.
Like a lot of left-handed hitters, he's a good low ball hitter. Even though he doesn't hit for much power, we've seen him flex his muscles a few times when he initially came to the Cubs, hit some home runs to right field, but really seems to handle that ball from the middle of the thighs down much better than pitches up above the belt.
Broken bat, fair ball. And he'll end up with a double.
Cut fastball about belt high, got in just enough to break Blake DeWitt's bat, but able to muscle it down that right field line and keep it fair. And fortunately, the bat does no damage this time. You know, we very quickly blame the metal, or rather the maple bats, for all the breaks and shards of wood flying all over the field on a broken bat. As that one gets through Anderson all the way to the bricks, DeWitt will easily advance on to third. And I think I've talked about this in the past. There is a right way and a wrong way to hold a bat when you make contact with the baseball. If you're hitting against the grain of the bat, it's going to break much easier than if you hit with the grain of the bat. And I think a lot of hitters in the major leagues, partially because they came up using aluminum bats, and it makes no difference which way you hit the ball with an aluminum bat. But with a wood bat, it definitely makes a difference. And some guys, because of the way they hold the bat, at contact, they're hitting against the grain.
DeWitt has to go right back to third as Castro grounds out. It's a big second out for Carpenter, who, by the way, had just his second wild pitch of the season, allowing to get DeWitt to third.
Something a little unusual, Len. I mean, they call it a uniform for a reason. Everybody's supposed to look somewhat similar. Brendan Ryan wearing the navy blue sleeves underneath his Cardinals road jersey here today, but the rest of his teammates are wearing red sleeves. I don't believe I've ever seen that happen before.
Well, you know why? Because he usually has the pant bottoms up just below his knees. Everybody else has them down. And because he has that similar look to everybody else, I think he just wanted to be a little different in some way.
To find a way to be different.
Yeah.
I don't know that an umpire has ever called a player and said, hey, you got to go put red sleeves on like everybody else. But it really stands out. Now, I would venture a guess that's one of those elbow sleeves that guys wear for compression and a little extra heat on his throwing arm.
A pitcher cannot have that look, by the way. You got to have the sleeve on both arms or neither.
Brendan Ryan really wanted to be different. He could wear a red sleeve on one side, the blue sleeve on the other.
That might alert the authorities.
The uniform police.
Glasses on his cap just to make sure that logo can see if the sun comes out. That's a good catch, partner. I would never have noticed that.
Well, I have to give credit where credit's due. I got a text message from my son Michael watching in Las Vegas today, and he noticed it in the first inning.
Full count with two down, runner at third, as Kosuke takes ball 4 on a close one. How does he take it? Carpenter thought it was a strike. Inning is still alive, and the tying run now at the plate. curveball for a strike to Ramirez. 1 homer away from his 6th 25 homer season as a Cub. 5 players have had 6 or more 25 homer campaigns as a Cub. They named them pretty quickly. How many do you think Sammy had? 25 homer seasons with the Cubs. More than 6.
Yeah.
He had 12.
Wow.
Billy Williams, Ernie Banks, each with 10. Ron Santo had 8, and Ryan Sandberg had 6. Cub fans, don't forget to check out our WGN Baseball blog on WGNTV.com. I give you my picks for all the individual awards. Bob and I discussed it yesterday. Buddy Guy sings the stretch. You can check out the video, game notes from stats, much more at WGNTV.com.
Well, we really enjoyed visiting with Buddy Guy the other night. What a humble man for being a guitar superstar. It was just delightful.
We're trying to get down to Buddy Guy's Legends to check out some great blues. You're here in Chicago, the new location, I think, right across the street.
Yeah.
Right?
Plan on doing just that, either right before or right after the Cubs convention this year. Make a week of it. Buddy Guy over at Legends. Come to the Cubs convention.
Convention will be the weekend of the 14th through the 16th of January. It's high, 1-2. Too many controversial choices in terms of the individual awards. Probably the most talked about will be the American League Cy Young. I would go with Felix Hernandez, even though he could finish under 500. And if he does, I don't think he will win it, but I still think you could make a case for it because his numbers are so good and he plays with arguably one of the worst offenses in recent memory. The Seattle Mariners they don't score.
Well, and statistically, wins and losses are the one category that a pitcher really has absolutely no control over. If your team doesn't score runs for you.
Cubs are going to get a run. Blake DeWitt will score as Ramirez knocks him home. 3-1.
If your team doesn't score for you or if they don't make plays behind you, there's nothing you can do to control that. That's why you hear pitchers nowadays talk about giving my team a chance to win. That's all you can really do as a starting pitcher. You can't control the wins and losses, but in every other category, King Felix is right there.
Just by way of comparison, the Yankees lead the majors with 821 runs. The 29th ranked team, so second to last, the Pittsburgh Pirates, 544. The Seattle Mariners have scored 484 runs. Bob, they're 60 behind the 29th ranked team. I mean, that's historically awful. They've hit 234 as a team this season.
Well, and I'm sure a healthy Milton Bradley all season would have really jumped those numbers up, but they had their problems up there in the Pacific Northwest this year.
Two strikes on Hoffpauer, a run in. One and two.
I'll take a big 2-out base hit from Micah Hoffpauer here to keep this inning going. But boy, when you get an opportunity to score against Chris Carpenter, you really need to do everything possible to take advantage. You just don't know how many opportunities you're going to get over the course of an afternoon.
Fastball in.
Continues to work that two-seamer inside off the corner, especially to the left-handed hitters, trying to get them to quit on that pitch and then tail it back over the inside corner for a called strike.
In the dirt, blocked by Anderson. 3-2. Runners will go with the pitch with 2 down. Cup win against Carpenter in St. Louis, courtesy of Tyler Colvin, who hit the big 3-run homer in the 7th inning. Colvin unfortunately had his season come to an end 2 weeks early, getting hit by that broken bat on Sunday. As Hoffpauir stays alive.
Well, I can vividly remember that Tyler Colvin home run against Carpenter. He had struck out earlier in the ball game on the big slow curve ball, and when Carpenter tried to go back to it, Tyler was all over it. Real educated at bat. Saw what an opposing pitcher did to him earlier in the ball game, made an adjustment, and he got the better of it the second time around.
Fair ball. What a play by Pujols. He picks it up. He's going to throw to the plate, and they have Fukudome caught in a rundown, but the throw gets away, and he'll score. Boy, you had a great play by Pujols and totally negated by the bad throw by the catcher Anderson, and the Cubs get the second run.
Hard hit ball down that first baseline. Pujols with a nice play to just get to it and knock it down, but as the ball squirted away, he had the presence of mind to realize that Fukudome had rounded third base and was heading for home. Just a botched rundown, one of the very first fundamentals you work on in spring training, and Anderson threw it too high to his third baseman. It gets away, and Fukudome is allowed to score. Right, now another opportunity here with 2 outs to really make Carpenter pay.
I don't know how you would look at it, Bob, but I can't blame Kosuke for getting caught in a rundown. I think most first basemen would have hesitated, maybe at least looked at first. Albert never did. That internal clock stopwatch in his head that you talk about all the time, he knew exactly where he needed to go. Unfortunately, Anderson's throw got into left, and it's now 3-2, and they're going to walk Soriano and face Sam Fuld.
This is one of those key at-bats in a ball game. You never know when they're going to fall. It's not always in the 9th inning or the 8th inning of a ball game when a key at-bat will arise. Well, right now, this is the biggest at-bat so far in this ball game, and Sam Fuld, the man at the plate.
Curve drops inside. 1-0 on Sam. Sinker had too much late movement. Went out of the zone. 2-0. Fuld has always had a good eye at the plate. Doesn't strike out a whole lot. He'll take his walks. Down the middle, 2-1. Ground ball, base hit, and the Cubs will get the lead. A 4 spot here in the 3rd inning. Fuld with a 2-run single.
Big base hit for Sam Fuld. Took the 2-0 pitch down the middle of the plate. The 2-1 pitch grounded hard back up the middle of the field. Like Schumacher was shading a little bit over toward the hole between first and second, giving Sam just enough room to sneak that ground ball through into center field to drive home two.
Dave Duncan out to talk it over. Cubs making the Cardinals pay for that throwing error by Anderson. Clay Hill, the ninth hitter of the inning. Hill hit one deep to the warning track in right center his first time up. Hard, and it is caught by Brendan Ryan. What an inning for the Cubs. They get 4 to take a 1-run lead after 3.
Part by the Illinois Lottery Mega Millions. Tuesday's Mega Millions jackpot is $23 million.
Normally Sam Folt's job is to get on base. He was playing the RBI man, giving the Cubs a 1-run lead with a 2-run single to make it 4-3. Bottom 3 now as Casey Coleman looks for a shutdown 4th inning. Breaker for a strike to Brendan Ryan. Fastball low. 93. That's about as hard as you'll see Coleman throw that fastball. Brendan Ryan has an interesting pre-swing routine. It's like he's licking or biting his jersey. Driven out into center. Right to full. I guess everybody has their thing.
Yeah, you know, and there's something to be said for your pre-pitch or pre-swing routine, just like in golf, you know, the same preparation every time to try to get some consistency. But when you're hitting the 220s coming into play, maybe it's time to change your pre-swing routine.
It's a strike quickly. 0-2 on catcher Anderson. One other game going on early today, and it's a big one for the Atlanta Braves, who have dropped out of the wild card lead. They do lead at Washington 1-0 in the fourth. Derek Lowe against Yuneski Maya in that one, but Atlanta has dropped 4 in a row. East isn't over officially, but it's close. They're 7 back of the Phillies, have won 11 straight. It's a strikeout. Anderson comes a second strikeout victim. Casey Coleman's 26th annual Cubs convention will take place at the Hilton Chicago January 14th, 15th, and 16th, 2011. Rooms are available now by calling the Hilton Chicago at 312-922-4400 and asking for the Cubs convention rate. Weekend passes will go on sale in early November. For more information, visit Cubs.com. We'll talk more about the convention tomorrow with Wally Hayward from the Cubs front office. And we look forward to seeing you at the convention next January. One and one to Carpenter. Kind of day. Good sweatshirt weather. Good curve for a strike. 1-2. 7th career start for Coleman. He made 4 relief appearances before jumping into the rotation. There's that shutdown 1-2-3. His first perfect inning of the day. 4-3 Cubs. And right-hander Chris Archer honored today as the Cubs minor league player and pitcher of the year, respectively. Both had outstanding years. Geyer hit .344, while Archer combined to go 15-3 with a 2.34 earned run average. PNC Bank proud to be an official sponsor of the Chicago Cubs, just as proud to support the fans and community who cheer them on. PNC, for the achiever in us all. 1-0 on Casey Coleman, who pops it foul. We had a delay before starting the bottom of the fourth because of a long and increasingly heated chat between Tony LaRussa and Joe West. This thing went on for a good 2.5 minutes. I doubt Tony is upset at Joe that he didn't send him his latest CD. Country Joe West.
I'm not sure what that was all about, but looked like a couple times Joe tried to turn and walk away, and Tony blocked his path and had more to say.
Well, LaRussa is not in the dugout at the moment. But he might have been kicked out, which makes you wonder if Joe threw somebody out, maybe Tony, for arguing balls and strikes. Carpenter's had a couple of pitches that he hasn't gotten. And Bob, I remember one that extended the third inning, the 3-2 to Kosuke Fukudome. It was called ball 4, and then the Cubs would score all of their runs after that pitch. Coleman strikes out. It's Carpenter's first strikeout today. And so we are hearing that Tony has been ejected from this game, so that would mean Joe Pettini, the bench coach, will be managing the team now as Blake DeWitt flies out to Rasmussen center. I guess Tony wanted to get his money's worth after being given the thumb.
Yeah, we always say that. Might as well get your money's worth. You've already been ejected, but the reality is the longer you stay out there, the longer you delay the game, the more your fine is going to be. So if you really want to get your money's worth, leave quietly.
1-0 to Castro. Two and one. One sprayed foul. Well, we want to take a moment to remember lifelong Cub fan Patricia Seabrook O'Neill, Glenview. She passed away this week after long battle with cancer, and our thoughts and prayers go out to the entire O'Neill family. Fly ball left center. Holiday can't get it. It's going to go all the way to the wall. Castro has a stand-up double. 30 doubles for the rookie.
We haven't seen Starlin Castro pull many balls into left center or left field, but this time he got a hanging breaking ball from Chris Carpenter and lined it into that gap in left center. Kind of a late dive that time by Holiday. No chance to catch that ball as it rolled all the way to the vines for double number 30 on the season for Starlin Castro.
Fastball strike to Fukudome. Oh, and 2.
Tight slider right in underneath the hands of Kosuke Fukudome. Started in that happy zone, down and in over the plate, and ended up off the plate inside. Tried to come right back with the same pitch.
One and 2 the count. Cubs lead 4-3 here in the 4th. All the runs they got in the 3rd were earned in spite of that error by Anderson. Outside, it's full. First base open, Ramirez on deck.
We'd love to see Kosuke get a pitch that he could pull. The Cardinals have an exaggerated opposite field shift on for the left-handed hitting Fukudome. You can see how far over in the left center the center fielder is. John Jay in right field, in the gap in right center. A lot of room down the line.
Ball 4. Let's check out who's moving forward with Toyota. Aramis Ramirez. Last 22 games against the Cardinals, so going back to last year. And he's hit in all of those games, 22 in a row. Toyota, and your local Toyota dealers, official partner of the Chicago Cubs. Now 23. Tack on the RBI single today.
Quick meeting at the mound there between Carpenter and Anderson. I've been watching Anderson giving signs with Starlin Castro out at second base, peering in. After Carpenter shakes off the first series of signs, he's just been going to one sign. This time Carpenter agrees with the signal and will throw the pitch, a slider just off the outside corner of the plate. But when he has shaken off Anderson with Castro standing out at second base, Anderson has just gone to one sign. Very easy for a runner at second base to peer in there and possibly relay to the hitter what's coming next.
Swing and a miss on a curveball.
And a grimace from Ramirez once again on that long follow through. That left thumb only really seems to bother him when he swings and misses. When he makes contact, that backswing is abbreviated. He drops the bat and starts down the first baseline. But when he swings and misses, he really follows through a long way. And that seems to be when that thumb gets him the worst.
Blake Hawksworth just got up in the Cardinals pen. 2-1. Pretty tasty slider there, but Ramirez took it. And the curveball was up that time, and Ramirez hammered it into left. Holiday had a little trouble with it. Didn't really matter. Castro was going to score either way. It's an RBI single to make it 5-3. Well, he made Carpenter pay for that pitch.
kind of surprised by the pitch selection. For my money, Aramis Ramirez is one of the best breaking ball hitters in the National League. Got a breaking ball up and out over the plate about belt high. They just hung there for him. He lined it into left field where Holiday boxed it up pretty good. As you said, Castro was going to score easily. I don't know that Fukudome would have advanced on to third base, however.
All the Cubs runs have come with 2 outs. Four big hits with runners in scoring position and 2 outs. A 1-1 count on Hoffpower. Fly ball to left. Holiday makes a catch. The Cubs add 1 to their lead. It's now 5-3. Tony LaRussa kicked out before that half inning. Cardinals 3 as Skip Schumacher takes ball 1. Leadoff man has led off 3 different innings now. The first, the third, and here in the 5th. Cubs have already clinched this season series. They've won 8 times in the first 13 games. But the visiting team has had the advantage in this season set. The Cubs went 5-1 at Busch Stadium, 3-4 here at Wrigley. 3-0. Coleman back in at 3-2 with John Jay on deck. It is the 5th inning, brought to you by Subway. Hey, Chicagoland viewers, how would you like to win 5 $5 footlongs from Subway? Just be the 500th texter to text Subway to 97999. Go to WGNTV.com for complete info and rules. The dreaded leadoff walk.
Leadoff walk's never a good thing, but especially considering where you're at in the Cardinals order. Schumacher, the leadoff man, followed by John Jay, and then the two big boys, Pujols and Holiday.
Runner goes, a hit and run, a fly ball. Soriano is backpedaling a circular route there as he makes the catch. Schumacher has to head back to first. And they kept his feet moving, the wind really playing tricks with that fly ball.
Now, sometimes the English on the ball will help it cut through the wind a little bit better than other times. Didn't appear it was going to carry that far off the bat, but Soriano had to backpedal nearly to the vines to make the play.
A walk and an RBI double, plus a run for Pujols, who's had a pretty productive series. Came into the series coming off a 2-homer game in Pittsburgh on Thursday, so that gives him 41 on the year and 407 in his career.
Well, we know that Albert Pujols is among the National League leaders in a number of offensive categories, including grounding into double plays. He's got 22 on the season. Only Pudge Rodriguez and Pablo Sandoval have grounded into more. Trying to put the whammy on it. Good slider that time from Casey Coleman. Took a little bit off of it. Got Pujols out in front.
See with a very quick move to first. This is his first career start against the Cardinals. Did make a relief appearance against them in St. Louis on August 13th. 2 scoreless innings before he went into the rotation. Called strike 3. Very slow late call by Joe West. He rings up Pujols.
Well, that's a rarity to catch Albert Pujols guessing on a 2-strike pitch. It looked like he was expecting that sinker working its way back inside. Opened up that front hip just a little bit. Couldn't pull the trigger as that slider moved the other direction and stayed right on the outside corner.
No real argument from Pujols. Holiday takes a strike. Because we didn't see the actual ejection, my assumption is that Tony LaRussa was arguing balls and strikes. Probably can't answer this in this particular setting. It might be a discussion for a longer form type of show, Bob, but what good does arguing do in the game of baseball? Other than asking the umpires to look at a replay, no umpire is ever going to change his call, whether it's a ball or a strike or a tag play at the plate. Do you believe that if a manager or a player argues a particular call, that will help your team's cause next time?
I believe it can. It doesn't happen often, but I do believe there have been times when an umpire maybe really does feel like, I did miss that call. And it affected the outcome of the at-bat. The at-bat affected the outcome of the inning, and maybe the inning affects the outcome of the ball game.
Fair ball picked up by Ramirez. Long throw. This one on the mark. Good stretch by Hoffpauir. Cubs lead this one 5-3 as they try to even up the series. start. Today was the second shortest start of the season. Cubs knocked him out after just 4 innings and 5 earned runs. Blake Hawksworth against Alfonso Soriano.
Very uncharacteristic for Carpenter. 4 walks in the ballgame, 1 intentional, only 1 strikeout. This is a guy that's been about a 3.5 strikeout per walk guy over the course of the season.
Hawksworth can give you more than an inning. 11 of his 36 appearances out of the pen have been at least 2 innings. One and 2 on Soriano. The Cubs got 4 runs in the third, added another in the fourth to erase a 3-0 deficit. Swing and a miss. Strike 3.
The 2010 Chicago Cubs baseball season on WGN is brought to you by Bud Light. The sure sign of a good time. Here we go.
It might warm up as the day moved along, and I guess it has by 2 degrees, but you've got that lake breeze and it's cold. Oh, that got Hawksworth. Oh, I hope he's all right. That'll be a base hit. Oh, man. Sam Fuld hit a screamer and it caught Hawksworth. It appears right in the face. Mark O'Neill's going to come out from the Cubs dugout to help the Cardinal athletic training staff. Oh, that's scary. I don't think he was able to get his glove up at all.
It looked like he tried to get his glove and his throwing arm up to protect his face as that ball came back there, but you could clearly see just not enough reaction time for Blake Hawksworth. Oh, man. We've talked about it recently with the Tyler Colvin bat incident down in Miami on that last road trip. There are certain inherent dangers in this game, and certainly as that pitcher releases the ball toward home plate, he's standing probably 55 feet away from home plate, and when that ball is struck well like it was off the bat of Sam Fuld, there's just not enough reaction time to protect yourself. Some pitchers are in a vulnerable position because of the way they follow through, but other guys are in good fielding position. They're ready to protect themselves if necessary, but Hawksworth still didn't have enough time to get his hands up.
Tony LaRussa came back out as well, even though he was ejected an inning ago. Wanted to check on his pitcher, which you certainly understand. Dr. Steven Adams, Cubs team doctor, also out to check on Hawksworth. So the Cardinals will have to bring in another pitcher, and he'll have as much time as he needs. Nice hand for Hawksworth. We'll be back to Wrigley in a moment. Salas will get as much time as he needs to get ready.
Hey fans, do you know a newborn Cubs fan? The Newborn Fan Club is the perfect gift to showcase what it means to be a Cub for life. Receive a customized photo announcing the birth on the Wrigley Field marquee, a Cubs birth certificate, a Cubs baby stocking cap, and a Cubs Rookie of the Year onesie. Perfect for parents and friends alike. Visit Cubs.com for more information and sign up today.
Well, that particular play probably really hit home for Albert Pujols, who played the Sam Fuld role in San Diego a couple of years ago, as he gave Chris Young a nasal fracture. And again, there's nothing the batter could do. He's trying to hit the ball hard. That's his job. But Chris Young hit by that vicious liner. And I think other than the guy who gets hit, who obviously you worry about his health, but the guy who actually hit the ball's got to be shaken up mentally as well.
You're absolutely right, Len. Nobody likes to see anybody get hurt on the field of play. You want to compete fairly and evenly, and nobody likes to see those kind of injuries. And Len, I'll tell you what, it hasn't been a joyous season here at Wrigley Field. The Cubs 11 games under 500 here at home, but there was a joyous moment on the field before the ball game today. Ted Pearlstein proposed to his girlfriend, Laura Plungish, and the happy couple was enjoying the sunshine here at Wrigley Field. Laura caught completely by surprise. Congratulations to Ted and Laura, and much continued love.
I can't tell. Did she say yes?
I think so. And of course, Ted already warned him before the ball game. Needs to practice the saying that we all use on a daily basis, those of us who are already married. Yes, dear, you're right. I'm sorry.
Runner at first, one out as we resume. Coy Hill hit the ball very hard both times up against Carpenter, but they were both outs. Fly to the warning track in right center, and then line to the shortstop. And we also talk about it all the time. When you watch batting practice for any length of time, a lot of guys are just trying to hit that L screen that protects the batting practice pitcher. The hitting coach tells you to stay up the middle of the field. You try to do that. You don't try to hit the pitcher, you try to hit it past him. Sometimes you hit it right through him. And we'll get you an update on Blake Hawksworth whenever we get one. Good news, he was able to walk off under his own power. And as scary as it is when that happens, when you see a bloody nose or a bloody lip, Bob, that is actually a lot better than getting hit in other areas of the head.
Well, and as we clearly saw here at Wrigley Field, regardless of what color uniform you have on, when something like that happens, everybody responds. Mark O'Neill and Doc Adams got out onto the field very quickly, as did the Cardinals training staff. It doesn't matter what team you're on. When something like that happens, everybody is going to rush out there and offer whatever kind of aid they possibly can.
Mark O'Neill, Ed Halber, best in the business. 2 strikes to Hill. Swing and a miss. Got him on what looked like a changeup or a split. Strike 3. Pretty good one.
Len, we've seen Casey Coleman make his 6 previous starts before today's ball game, and one thing that we've realized very quickly is Casey Coleman is a good athlete. He swings the bat well, and he runs extremely well. And We've seen more than a few infielders pick up ground balls or bunts and casually take their time flipping the ball to first base and barely get Casey Coleman. He's going to leg out some infield hits over the course of his career.
6 feet, 180 pounds. Greg Maddux-like build. Speaking of Greg Maddux, I wanted us to remind Cub fans watching to join Greg along with his co-host Butch Harmon, the great golf instructors in the world, for the 10th annual Maddux-Harmon Celebrity Invitational in Las Vegas. It comes up October 25th and 26th. Go to MaddixHarmon.com for more information. We do have some spots available. It'll be a great event in Las Vegas, the 10th annual. Coleman draws the walk. Blake DeWitt with 2 on and 2 down. Four-seamer right on the outside corner, 0-2. Rising fastball, fouled away. His last 2 pitches, as we mentioned, Bob, 4-seam fastballs. We try to be as specific as we can in describing the type of pitches. Cardinal fan getting booed by all the Cub fans around him. Usually you can tell yourself just watching at home whether it's a sinker with all that late movement or a changeup like that pitch. Four-seam fastball is either very straight or appears to rise going into the hitting zone.
The two-seamer, contrarily, will have some kind of downward movement, sometimes more drastic than others, and usually will move into a right-handed hitter from a right-handed pitcher. You see that particular grip right there, that's either called a spiked curveball or a knuckle curveball, where the index finger, the tip of the finger is actually on the baseball, and the middle finger wraps around one of the seams. The idea is to get more rotation on that curveball.
Usually holds the ball in the most difficult grip. Puts it in his glove. He doesn't have to change it if it is that breaking ball. If he changes it to a fastball or changeup grip, not nearly as tough. That one lined into the right field corner. Fold is in. Casey Coleman is going to score easily. And Blake DeWitt has a triple. It's 7-3.
Beauty, Blake DeWitt. Looked like a changeup that stayed up and out over the plate. He reached out across the corner and hooked that ball back into right field. We just talked about Casey Coleman's speed, and he was off like a shot at first base. Scored without a play.
And again, another big 2-out hit, and Albert Pujols doing Fernando Salas a big favor, or doing Casey Coleman rather a big favor. Giving him a little extra time to recover from that first to home run. Called strike. 7 unanswered runs for a Cubs offense that had been blanked twice already on the homestand and scored just once yesterday.
Foul ball chased some pigeons off the roof of Wrigley Field. They were sitting on that first base side, just observing the game, minding their own business, and that foul ball off the bat of Castro chased them off of their roost.
He just did it again.
Well, it's on the backside here. Well, you won't see us.
Head over to Cubby Bear and see if we're okay. Still 1-2 on the Cubs shortstop. Blocked by Anderson.
Brian Anderson with big shoes to fill back there behind home plate. Yadier Molina, one of the best in the business at blocking pitches in the dirt, especially with the runner at third base. And the youngster does a nice job on this one, just smothering that breaking ball in the dirt.
Inside. They fill it up at 3-2. Ground ball, Brendan Ryan. The final out. The Cubs have scored in each of the last 3 innings, including 2 courtesy of Blake DeWitt in the 5th.
Jackpot with Powerball contestant. If the Cubs hit a home run in the next inning, Deatra Cotton will win 100 chances to win the Powerball jackpot. Tonight's jackpot worth $25 million.
Blake DeWitt with a 2-run triple. And it's 7-3 against the team he rooted for growing up in Sykeston, Missouri. Ball one to Colby Rasmus. We're in the 6th. Casey Coleman looking for his 2nd consecutive win and his 3rd in the majors. High fly ball. Sam Full over into the left center. He and Soriano get together, and it's Full to make the grab.
Got one for you here, Len, as we take another look at Sam Fold running that ball down in the gap in left center, taking charge as the center fielder is supposed to do and making the play. This is truly a miracle. Scott and Lisa Gore are here today celebrating their 17th anniversary. Now, that's not the miracle. The miracle is Lisa's a Cardinals fan and Scott is a Cubs fan. They live down in Peoria, Illinois, which, as you know, is right on that borderline. Usually north of Peoria, you have Cub fans. South, you have Cardinal fans. But they've stayed together for 17 years, even though one of them roots for the wrong team. So happy 17th to Scott and Lisa Gore.
2 quick outs. This cool weather, Bob, just gets me ready for the Blackhawks game tonight. First home game since winning the Stanley Cup. You can catch it locally, Chicago viewers, on WGN at 7 o'clock with Pat and Eddie as they host the Detroit Red Wings in preseason action. But I have a feeling the atmosphere will not be preseason-like. Blackhawks hockey is back. Imagine there'd be a pretty good amount of regular skaters at the first home game. Not too many of them last night in Detroit. Might be a first look at Marty Turco, the new goaltender. Yeah, right here on WGN. 2-2 the count. Nice warm sweater on this cool Saturday as DeWitt charges, and Coleman has sent down 6 in a row with a 7-3 lead. So the Northsiders trying to set up a rubber game tomorrow. Final time they'll meet this season. Kukadome gives it a ride. Colby Rasmus took a look back, never did make it to the warning track as he got some help from the wind. Well, we want to remind all the Ron Santo fans and Cub fans in Arizona, especially Mesa, coming up on October 9th. That's a Saturday from 10 a.m. to 11:30 at Hohokam Park. You can meet Ron Santo at a special event in his honor. You can go to keepthecubs.com for more information. And make sure, for all you Mesa Cub fans, you vote yes on Proposition 420 to help keep the Cubs in Mesa for generations to come. It's keepthecubs.com. Go check it out. The November election not that far off. And you can also, at that event on October 9th, sign a banner supporting Ron's induction into the Baseball Hall of Fame. Foul by Aramis. Committed an error earlier that led to a Cardinal run, but he since has knocked in 2. Batting average has kind of been kicked to the curb a little bit in terms of importance as an offensive stat. But I always felt like 250 was that cutoff, especially for a good hitter who has a down year. For whatever reason, 252, 253 doesn't sound nearly as bad as where Ramirez is right now, 244. So maybe that's a modest goal for Aramis here over the last 9 games. Kind of hard to believe he has an on-base percentage that's below 300 right now. Battling nagging injuries, a quad, the thumb. Last year it was a dislocated shoulder. Long run, John Jay, the slide, excellent effort. He couldn't get it. That's a pretty good effort there by John Jay.
He knew he was getting close to that bullpen mound down there in the right field corner. Tried to go into a slide to protect himself. He's actually sliding up the back of that mound and just could not make the play. Heck of an effort, though.
He got his glove on it, but probably took his eyes off the ball for a split second because he was staring at a brick wall. Shortstop Ryan gets Ramirez. Wrigleyville Rooftops has premier seating for up to 200 guests for corporate gatherings, family reunions, and bachelor or bachelorette parties. Individual and group tickets are available for all games. For more details, go to WrigleyvilleRooftops.com or call 773-248-ROOF. I'm sure it's pretty natural for guys to be going into the final week or weekend of the season to try to round off their average, right? You're at mentioned 244, try to get to 250. If you're at 297, make that jump into the 300s. 286, trying to get to 290.
Always looks a little better on your bubblegum card the next spring when you can round those numbers off and round them up, preferably.
Now, if you have a guy at 292, you try not to get back into the 280s. But you hate to think negatively. Just don't go 0 for 4. I'm okay. Blake Hawksworth in a nearby local hospital is conscious and That's the update at this point. Appeared to be hit in the mouth by that line drive. 7-3. He has walked 4 times already in this series, but the Cubs scoring all 7 of their runs with 2 outs, coming up with some big base hits. Visit your Honda dealer. Test drive a 2010 Honda CR-V. A.C. Coleman against Brian Anderson with Randy Wynn, a pinch hitter, on deck. Cashner and Marshall are up for the Cubs. One bouncer right to Micah Hoffpower, who takes it by himself. James Denton from Desperate Housewives coming up to conduct the stretch. And tomorrow from the field, it'll be, as always, a final home game of the season conducted by the Wrigley Field grounds crew. One and 0 on the pinch hitter Randy Wynn. Swing and a miss. Good changeup. Tall Mike McDougal in the bullpen. Just missed that time. On the hands of Wynn, he fought it off. Looks like his playoff drought will continue. He has played in over 1,700 games without making the postseason. That's the longest active streak. He lines out to Hoffpower, 2 down. Visit the official online shop of the Chicago Cubs at Cubs.com. Browse the largest selection of official gear, including the latest apparel, nostalgic memorabilia, and authentic classics for the whole family. Get your gear from the official source, the Cubs.com shop. Accept no substitutes. He's been to the Cubs.com shop. Schumacher on the ground to Starlin Castro. James Denton coming up with the stretch.
Conductor for Take Me Out to the Ball Game is the star of Desperate Housewives, James Denton.
Got up to 92.
Bottom of the 7th, the Cubs lead the Cardinals 7-3. I would give James Denton an A+. Casey Coleman, too.
You're too friendly. Too
performance.
kind. Yeah.
And James, always a pleasure to see you here at Wrigley Field. And
thanks.
he did a great job. Got the fans into it and sang it note for note.
Well, that's nice of you. It's a little nerve-wracking. It's lucky that, when you have a nice lead, the fans are a lot happier and they sing louder. So you just pray that the team's ahead when you come up here.
Well, you're from Nashville, right? But got your acting career started here in Chicago.
Yeah, I came here instead of New York, which was great. I really fell in love with the city, and I get back as much as I can. And now we have this the new Harry Carey's Tavern down on Navy Pier, and that's why I'm here this weekend for the big Housewives premiere party. But Chicago is sort of my second home.
Mike McDougal is on for St. Louis. He scored the first 3 runs of the game. The Cubs have scored the last 7. And that is a strike. We were talking during the break. You're involved with the Orange County Flyers independent league team in Southern California, and we were talking about Mark Pryor, who made his comeback with your team and now is in the Texas Rangers organization.
Yeah, we were really proud of him. And being a Cubs fan, it was fun for me, too, to have Mark. He came over and pitched about 11 innings for us, and I think he struck out 26. His ERA was 0 when we lost him. So he got up to 91, 92, and he was really the same Mark, great team guy. The players loved him, and Texas snapped him right up. So he's in AAA Oklahoma City, and I just really wish him the best.
Sure, it didn't hurt in terms of ticket sales either to have
it did help, yeah.
Mark Pryor.
We wanted him to start just for the ticket sales, but he's looking to be just a situational righty and pitch a couple innings. He was our setup man, and he helped us at the box office for sure.
Two on Soriano. Sam Fold on deck. And a pop up. This will be handled by Brendan Ryan. How's Ronnie doing today? Bob had some interesting news for him yesterday, and Bob, today might be the day to tell him he struck out in a fantasy game, right?
Yeah, in a fantasy game down in Mesa. There was a gentleman who was celebrating his 70th birthday yesterday and actually sent me some pictures of him striking out Ron Santo on a 3-2 slider and Ronnie walking back to the dugout dejectedly with his head down. I was going to show it to Ronnie yesterday. I didn't think I better.
Well, the way we know Ronnie, I bet he might have done it just for the guy's self-esteem. I bet he tanked that one on purpose.
But he's in a good mood today, right, James?
He's in a great mood as always.
Talking to him over there, so
love listening to Ronnie. He's boy, is he fantastic. When I left the booth, I told him I'd see him in Cooperstown, so I wish him some luck.
Yeah, he deserves to be there sooner than later. It's Sam Fold takes a strike. Also want to ask you about your band, the band from TV. You guys do a bunch of covers, right?
Yeah, we played here 4 shows here about a couple of months ago. It's just a charity thing. We make sure everybody knows. We keep charity in big letters over my head, so they're very forgiving. But, Hugh Laurie from House and a couple other TV guys. And it's been a really fun way to raise money.
I have to ask all TV stars, when people come up to you on the street, they probably don't get your actual name right. They call you Mike.
Always,
right?
Always, yeah. But, thank God they're watching. People ask me, that bothers me. Just stay tuned in, especially if you have a Nielsen box. You can call me whatever you want because ratings are tough to come by these days, so thank goodness they're watching.
Sean Marshall up in the Cubs pen. So Casey Coleman's day will be done after 7. He was excellent today. 3 runs, but only 2 were earned. Swing and a miss by Coy Hill.
It was nice getting Carpenter out of there so quickly, but hated to see what happened to Hawksworth. That's so scary. I know, Bob, you've probably seen that a lot, but you never get used to it.
It's a very frightening situation, and fortunately the medical staffs from both teams were right on top of it. He's been taken to a local hospital. He's conscious. We just received word last half inning, and hopefully he'll make a quick recovery and get right back out on that mound.
Dougal works from the stretch with nobody on. Just below the knees, 2-1.
So another season of Desperate Housewives. How many now?
Well, this is number 7. It's the beginning of number 7. We're shooting number 8 episode right now, and the big premiere is tomorrow night. So we're just so lucky these days things get canceled so quickly that people have hung in there with us, and we're just real thankful. So we're having a great time. Then you get to do fun stuff like this, My wife's such a great sport. I told her I was going out of town, and she said, well, when Housewives is over, they'll lose your number, so take advantage while you can. So I said, I'll come as long as they'll invite me. I'm going to be here.
Great to have you here, James. Good luck with the new season.
You guys do a great job, Bob.
Thank you,
James. Thanks a lot.
Casey Coleman with the longest start of his major league career. 7 innings, 3 runs, only 2 earned, 93 pitches. He was efficient. I like his poise, Bob. He got down 3-0, but able to hang in there. Helps his team in other ways because he's such a good athlete. Did a really nice job today. Find out more of what's possible at att.com. AT&T, rethink possible. Aaron Miles batting for John Jay against the new Cub pitcher Sean Marshall. Kind of going back to something you said earlier. It has been a disappointing season, but in a disappointing season, some bright spots and some opportunities have arisen. And Casey Coleman with a rotation spot opening up. A little over a month ago, Ted Lilly got traded. Carlos Silva dealing with some injuries. Coleman gets a chance, and all of a sudden, I think he's opened some eyes. A little throw. This one dug out by Hoffpower. Cub fans, if you want to manage the game along with Mike Quaddy, log on to WGNTV.com right now. As I'm reading this, do it, please. Click on the WGN Sports Game Zone banner and connect to all the up-to-the-minute stats and info while watching at home. Game Zone is sponsored by The Great Escape, pools, patio and play sets, hot tubs, and more.
And very few players get to the major leagues and feel like I'm where I'm supposed to be. This is where I was meant to be. Starlin Castro appears to be one of those guys that, by his play on the field and his high level of offensive play this year, feels like he belongs here. Certainly Buster Posey, we just saw from the San Francisco Giants, another guy that seems to be right at home here at the big league level. But for most guys, there's that feeling out period where you try to see how you fit in. You try to see, do I really belong here? Can I compete at this level? And I think with each successive outing, Casey Coleman has gotten more and more sure of himself. And today, for my money, by far his best outing of the year, even though he gave up 3 runs. He just looked like he was in command on the mound. He felt like he had a game plan, and he executed it very well. And hopefully that confidence will just continue to build.
Yeah, I want to follow up on that. But Sean Marshall's had good success against Albert Pujols. Is only 5 for 23 against him in his career. That's a .217 batting average. 2-2 the count. I think in some ways, even though there has been an adjustment period for Casey Coleman, you think about his lineage, his heritage. He comes from a big league family, so I think for a long time he has thought, you know what, I'm going to be in the big leagues. His grandfather and his dad, both all-star pitchers.
I'll tell you, though, there's just something about your first day walking into that big league clubhouse, and you see the nameplates above the lockers, and you see that pristine uniform with your name on the back of it hanging in the locker. You look around the room and see guys that have played in all-star games, have won awards, played on championship teams, and it can be a little bit intimidating. I mean, you can say, geez, am I really good enough to do this? But once you get out there on the field and realize that everything you've done up to this point of your career has led to this moment or led to this start, and get over that hump, then you just go out and play baseball.
Be a hit for Pujols.
I was looking forward to seeing this throw. Deep in the hole at shortstop, Starlin Castro running to his right, was going to jump, grab, and throw all in one motion. Talk about multitasking. Unfortunately, just couldn't find the handle on the baseball. Probably would not have had a chance to get Pujols anyway.
Holiday takes ball 1. Cardinals can't come back. The Reds will go into their game against the Padres later with a magic number of 2 to clinch the division. Earliest they could clinch would be tomorrow. Atlanta leading in the bottom of the 7th. They are a half game out in the wild card, 5-0 at Washington. Alex Gonzalez with his 6th home run in that one for the Braves. Padres are leading the wild card. Rockies are 4 back. They're also 4.5 out in the West. They picked a bad time to lose 5 in a row. And late last night on the West Coast, the fastest pitch ever recorded in the annals of Major League history was thrown 105 miles an hour by the young left-hander Aroldis Chapman of the Cincinnati Reds.
He did not throw a pitch under 100 miles per hour in his outing last night. I mean, I think it would be universally accepted that Adrian Gonzalez is one of the best hitters in the National League, if not all of baseball. And Chapman blew him away with 3 fastballs in a row, and he didn't have a chance. I tell you, we haven't seen an arm like that come down the pike maybe ever.
It was clocked at 105 at AAA, but I think a lot of people at the big league level kind of laughed it off, like, well, it wasn't calibrated properly. But last night it was legit. Holiday's 16-game hitting streak in major jeopardy, especially if he doesn't get a hit in this at bat. He has reached once today. That was on an error. He had that sign, the no wave sign. I think a lot of people are doing it here just to stay warm.
Just to move around a little bit.
Ukadome will make the catch. Had to leave his feet as he robs Holiday of a hit. 2 down in the inning.
You don't get an opportunity to make a play like that unless you get a good jump on the ball. And Kosuke was off with the crack of the bat, able to make the catch, sliding on his belly, taking extra bases away from Matt Holliday.
Rasmus 1 for 3. Ball 1.
Slight delay here. Alan Trammell and Mike Quaddy in the Cubs dugout wanted to get Michael Hoffbauer's attention to slide around and play behind Albert Pujols with the left-handed hitter at the plate, just in case Rasmus gets out in front of a Sean Marshall offering and pulls it down that direction.
Fly ball center field. Sam Folds circling and catching. Scoreless 8th for Sean Marshall. 7-3 Cubs. Spot in the 9th. Hey Bob, just up the road, Northwestern beat Central Michigan today 30-25. So Pat Fitzgerald's team is 4-0 to start the year. We'll host Illinois here at Wrigley Field on November 20th. See the Wildcats off to a good start. How the wind affected that game. This off the lake in Evanston.
It feels like football weather today.
One is Snyder. Up in his kitchen. 2-1. Jose Bautista trying to finish with a flourish. Hit 2 more homers last night. They give him 52. Blue Jays with 3 more homers today. He has not hit one of them. It's 4-4 Orioles and Blue Jays in the bottom of the 8th in Toronto. Brad Snyder cranks this one out into deep right center. And it hits the bottom of the wall. That's a double for Snyder. He's got good power. And he showed you some of that right there. That's his first career extra base hit.
When we talk about Andrew Kashner's easy fastball, Brad Snyder has easy power. A lot of wrists, a lot of hands right at the end of the swing. Really drives that ball into the gap in right center. Right at the base of the ivy. And some power hitters, you can tell they're trying to hit the ball hard and hit it a long distance by the way they swing. Brad Snyder, very fluid, easy swing with a lot of snap right at the point of contact.
Pujols will feed McDougal at first to get DeWitt.
Well, they were able to retire Blake DeWitt that time, but earlier in the ball game, he came up with our BMW ultimate drive of the game, tripling down into the right field corner in the 5th inning. That was his 5th triple of the season to go along with his 5 home runs. Now's your chance to lease a new BMW 3 Series for $439 a month with nothing down and no security deposit. Visit ChicagolandBMW.com for details.
Infield in for the Cardinals. Runner at third, 1 out. Starlin Castro at the plate. And he could not hold up. Strike 1. Mentioned the Blue Jays, Bob. They are over 500. They will not make the playoffs this year. They're 78 and 75. And I don't think enough attention has been given to Cito Gaston, who is retiring after the season, overshadowed by Bobby Cox, Lou Piniella. Joe Torre will not be back with the Dodgers. But there aren't too many men on the planet who have 2 World Series rings as a manager. And Gaston led the Blue Jays to back-to-back titles in 92 and 93. And he will finish his career over 500 in 12 years as the Blue Jays manager over 2 different stints. Well, I don't have to pull your arm to get you to talk about your former manager.
Preaching to the choir. I'm a big fan of Cito Gaston's.
Aaron Miles snags that hot liner for out number 2. Tough break for Castro.
Now with that infield drawn in, the one thing you hope you don't do is hit one right at somebody. Unfortunately, that's what Starlin does. Hit it well, but right to Aaron Miles at second base. Yeah, it's certainly no surprise to me that a Cito Gaston managed team is hitting home runs at the pace they are. He is all about the bats.
Added up here 3 more homers today for the Blue Jays. And the Major League leading 240 on the year.
Wow.
They lead the Red Sox, the second place team, by 39 home runs. Compare that to the Oakland A's, who've hit 95. Fukudome turns on it. Long run for Schumacher, who was guarding the gap, not the line, but he gets over to make the catch, and we'll head off to the ninth. Here comes Carlos Marmol, 7-3.
Magazine of the Chicago Cubs. Vine Line offers exclusive insider coverage and photography all year long. Visit the Vine Line blog at Cubs.com for extra content and order today.
A fun day here at the ballpark. Cubs overcoming a 3-0 deficit early, leading 7-3. And while it's not a safe situation for the closer Carlos Marmol, he could set a Cubs single season record for strikeouts by a reliever if he can notch 2 here in this 9th inning. One away from tying Bruce Suter's record. Tapped foul by Descalso. It's 1-2. Marmol got his 34th save on Wednesday in a Cubs 2-0 win over the Giants. Got 4 outs. They were all strikeouts. And he gets another one here. Number 129.
Oh, just a vicious slide. Vicious.
Marmol asking for that baseball. He just tied Bruce Suter for first, his 129th strikeout. So the next one will be a new record. And Ryan gets hit. Catcher Anderson sac fly in the second, 0 for 2 officially. Marmol with a fastball there. He only throws that pitch 2 out of every 5 times. 3 out of 5 times he's going to throw you a slider.
And most of the time he has better command of the slider than he does the fastball.
3-0. Mark Hamilton on deck. Runner goes, swing and a miss. Ryan taking second and will not be given a stolen base. 3-2 on Anderson. Ball 4. Joe West has not expanded that strike zone 1 millimeter today for really any of the pitchers. You know what, Bob? I don't think the Cubs will complain because I think the whole game turned around on ball 4 to Kosuke Fukudome in the 3rd inning. And it might have been the pitch that ultimately got the Cardinal manager ejected.
Well, Joe West is no stranger to controversy, but he has his interpretation of the strike zone, and he sticks with it from the first pitch of the game till the last pitch of the game.
Hamilton called up a week ago from AAA Memphis. Made his major league debut Monday. Late on that swing. Hit 18 home runs in 72 games at Memphis. That led the team.
Basically half a season at the AAA level.
Another 0-2 outside. Schumacher on deck. It starts to get a little tricky. You've got Schumacher and Miles and Albert Pujols lurking. I would like to avoid a matchup with Pujols. Two and two.
Yeah, you bring up a good point. I'm sure Marmol would like to avoid him because of the circumstances of the ball game, but I think he would look forward to the challenge of facing Albert Pujols.
There's the new single season record. Number 130 for Marmol. Still nobody's put a ball in play. 4 batters.
It only seems appropriate. It comes on that nasty biting slider down and in, breaks right underneath the bat of Hamilton.
Ball 1 to Schumacher. And 130 punch-outs, by far leads all major league relievers. 2-0. They have Miles on deck, but if Schumacher reaches and the Cardinals are within slam range, it does make you wonder if they would possibly pinch hit for Miles, put a guy up there with more home run power. We'll see. 3-0. The wind is blowing in. I've not seen a home run today. 3-2. Paid crowd today 39,216 as the Cubs have gone over 3 million. And they're on their feet. Called strike 3. Cubs win. He faced 5 batters here in the ninth. And again, the only defender he needed was his catcher. That has become a common theme for Carlos Marmol. The Cubs even up the series. Chance to take the series tomorrow in the final home game of the season. That was a nice win today, partner.
Yeah, it really was. The way the Cubs came back after falling behind 3-0 early, the way Casey Coleman righted the ship and pitched 7 innings of this ball game, and a lot of 2-out offense. You really like to see that.
So the final score today, the Cubs 7 and the Cardinals 3.